Alex had always thought his life was ordinary. As a young scientist specializing in xenobiology, he had studied alien species for years, but mostly from the comfort of his home planet, Vega Prime. Traveling to a distant, unexplored planet in the Lorian cluster was thrilling, sure, but he had expected research, not chaos. Chaos, it seemed, had a way of finding him. The planet called Vierlia was stunning. Its sky shimmered with pale violet clouds, and the surface was dotted with crystal spires that caught the sunlight like giant prisms. Alex's shuttle landed in a valley surrounded by softly glowing flora, each plant radiating colors he had never seen. His mission was simple: observe and report on the noble families of Vierlia, the ruling class of the planet. Little did he know, simple on Vierlia often meant the exact opposite. He had barely stepped out of the shuttle when he encountered Lyra. She was breathtaking, tall, elegant, with skin that reflected the violet sky, hair that shifted colors in subtle waves, and eyes like polished silver. She regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Alex froze. He had seen many alien species in simulation, but nothing had prepared him for a real encounter with a Vierlian noble. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice melodic but firm. Alex, human from Vega Prime," he stammered, holding up a small translator device. "I'm here to observe diplomacy, science. All that official stuff. The bonding ceremony. It chooses a partner. You have been chosen." A soft glow surrounded them both, and Alex felt a strange warmth, almost like being wrapped in sunlight. The glow intensified, swirling around them until it felt as if the air itself was alive. He tried to step back, but his legs felt heavy, as if the ground had become viscous. "Do not resist," Lyra said softly, almost kindly. "It is too late. The bond is sealed." Bond sealed. Somehow he had triggered the sequence himself, and now he was part of it. The glow faded, leaving Alex blinking under Vierlia's violet sky. Lyra's expression was calm, though her eyes held a hint of nervousness. I think I might be pregnant," she said quietly, more to herself than to Alex. Alex froze. What?" "Soon, my child will grow because of the bond. The ceremony guarantees continuation of our line." I didn't even know what was happening. I'm a human. This is insane." He had imagined encountering aliens would involve fascinating biology, diplomacy, and maybe a few awkward conversations. Nothing had prepared him for this. As if sensing his panic, Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. The warmth of the bond surged through him again, and he felt something shift, a strange calmness in the chaos. "You need to meet my mother," she said. "Your mother," Alex's voice cracked. "Why?" Curious, interested, not hostile, mostly. He felt the weight of responsibility crushing him. When they arrived at the palace, Alex realized how alien it truly was. The structure spiraled upward like a crystalline tree, shimmering with colors that shifted depending on where he looked. Guards moved silently, humanoid but with elongated limbs and skin that glimmered faintly. They bowed slightly to Lyra as she passed, and Alex felt the odd mixture of awe and intimidation. Lyra led him into a grand chamber, where the air was warm and fragrant with unfamiliar scents. And there, seated on a throne that seemed to float slightly above the ground, was the Queen of Vierlia. She was stunning, more so than Lyra, tall, regal, with flowing hair that mirrored the planet's sky and eyes that glimmered like molten silver. She regarded Alex like a puzzle she had yet to solve, and Alex immediately felt the weight of centuries of alien nobility press upon him. "Ah," the Queen said, her voice musical but commanding. "The human who stumbled into our bonding ceremony. You are bold, curious, and apparently fertile." This woman was powerful, possibly centuries old, and she was already interested in him. "Learn firsthand?" he echoed, hoping he had misunderstood. "Yes," the Queen said, her silver eyes sparkling. "You are in a unique position. Not only have you bonded with my daughter, but you have proven clever enough to survive accidental participation in one of our oldest rituals. That is rare for a human." On the other, the level of scrutiny and expectation was immense. He had survived an accidental pregnancy ritual, but now he had to survive alien politics, court intrigue, and the whims of an entire noble house. Lyra stepped forward, placing a calming hand on Alex's arm. "Do not worry, I will guide you. The Queen is complicated, but not cruel, mostly curious." "Okay, I think I can do curious, maybe." He had traveled across the galaxy to study aliens, but he had not expected to become part of one of their most sacred rituals, or to face the attention of a queen who found him fascinating. As he left the chamber with Lyra, Alex realized that life on Violia was going to be unlike anything he had ever imagined. He was a human in an alien world, bonded to a noblewoman and soon to be part of an unprecedented pregnancy. And somehow, in all the panic and confusion, he felt a flicker of pride. Humans were adaptable. Humans could survive almost anything. And if anyone could navigate the chaos of an alien court, Alex thought, it might just be him. But as he looked up at the shimmering spires of the palace and the soft violet sky, he also realized one thing. He was only at the beginning of a very strange, very challenging adventure. And he had no idea just how much trouble the Queen's curiosity would bring. The next morning, Alex awoke in a guest chamber that shimmered with soft violet light filtering through crystalline windows. He sat up, rubbing his eyes, and tried to remember what planet he was on. Violia. That name still sounded strange in his mouth. Somehow he had gone from ordinary scientist to bonded partner of an alien noblewoman, and soon he realized he was going to face her mother, the Queen. Lyra was already waiting outside his door, her hair shifting gently from silver to pale violet. "You look ready," she said, her tone teasing. "Mostly awake, that counts for something. You may find that our curiosity is both dangerous and educational. Mostly educational, we hope." He marveled, but his nerves kept reminding him that each new discovery came with expectations he did not fully understand. When they arrived in the main hall, the Queen was already there, standing near a fountain filled with water that glowed faintly. She smiled as they entered. "Ah, human," she said. "You survived your first night. Good. That is promising. She will not harm you, but her curiosity is sharp." Servants, humanoid but clearly alien, moved silently, their movements precise and graceful. Alex noticed that even their eyes seemed to glimmer faintly like liquid silver. Lyra leaned close. "You must pay attention. Many customs are subtle. A single gesture misinterpreted could create embarrassment." He immediately regretted saying it aloud when he saw Lyra's narrowed eyes. They reached a large chamber filled with floating platforms, each glowing faintly. The Queen gestured for Alex to step forward. "The first lesson, the trial of understanding. Only challenging. Using only logic and creativity." The Queen watched silently while Lyra hovered nearby, giving occasional tips about the rules without directly telling him the solution. "Interesting," the Queen murmured. "You approach it differently than a Violian, human logic unconventional yet effective." The orb glowed brightly and then vanished. Alex exhaled, almost collapsing from relief. The Queen clapped slowly. "Remarkable, humans are clever, perhaps more than I expected." The Queen moved closer. "Now we will observe another aspect of your humanity, adaptability in unexpected situations." A group of young nobles had accidentally triggered a minor gravity fluctuation in the palace corridors. Plates, floating trays, and decorative spheres swirled through the air. Lyra's eyes widened. "Oh no, if that reaches the main hall." He lunged forward, catching a floating tray midair and using it to redirect other objects safely to the floor. With a combination of quick thinking and a bit of luck, he managed to stabilize the hallway, ensuring no one was injured and no valuable objects were damaged. The Queen watched the entire scene, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a genuine, approving smile. "Impressive. Calm under pressure. Humans may panic, but they also act decisively. This pleases me. This is why the bonding ceremony is fortunate. Lyra is in capable hands, even if the circumstances were accidental. You will meet members of other noble families. Observe their behavior, learn their customs, and remember humans are unusual. That is sometimes an advantage." Some had multiple arms, others had translucent skin revealing glowing veins, and all carried themselves with a grace Alex had never seen. He tried to bow respectfully, following the subtle cues Lyra had whispered earlier. Some nobles responded with nods of approval, others with curious glances. Alex felt like a student in a class where every gesture counted, and one mistake could lead to embarrassment, or worse, offense. A noble with skin like liquid gold approached. "You are human," he said, voice smooth. "Curious, your species is known for unpredictability. Perhaps we shall test this further." He had already survived an accidental bonding, solved a complex puzzle, and stabilized the palace hallway. Perhaps he could handle this too. As the day progressed, Alex moved through lesson after lesson, observing alien etiquette, participating in subtle court games, and using human logic to impress nobles. Every time he solved a problem or navigated a challenge, he felt a spark of pride. Humans were clever, adaptable, and resilient, and for the first time he felt the weight of representing his species in a way he had never imagined. By the time the sun, violet and soft, began to set over the palace spires, Alex was exhausted but exhilarated. He had survived the Queen's lessons, navigated courtly customs, and proven that humans could indeed handle the unexpected. Lyra walked beside him, her smile genuine and encouraging. "You did well today," she said softly. "The Queen is impressed more than you realize." He had survived the first day on Virlia, and in doing so, he had begun to understand something vital. Humans were not just clever, adaptable, and resourceful. They could thrive in situations that no one, not even aliens, could have predicted. And if humans could thrive here, Alex thought, maybe he could survive whatever the Queen's curiosity and the challenges of an alien court would throw at him next. The next morning, Alex awoke to the soft violet glow of Virlia's sun filtering through the crystal windows. His head throbbed slightly, a mix of exhaustion and excitement. Yesterday had been overwhelming, yet somehow exhilarating. He had survived the Queen's lessons, impressed the nobles, and navigated alien etiquette without committing a disastrous faux pas. At least he hoped he hadn't. Lyra was waiting outside his chamber, her hair shimmering in waves of silver and violet. "Are you ready for today?" she asked, smiling. Alex groaned and stretched. "Ready? I think my definition of ready is different from yours. Yesterday nearly killed me mentally." "Does that count?" Today, the Queen's curiosity would test him in ways more subtle and complex than yesterday's puzzles. The main hall was already filled with nobles. They moved gracefully, observing Alex and Lyra as if weighing their worth. The Queen stood at the far end, arms folded, watching him like a chess master considering her next move. "Today, human," she said, her silver eyes gleaming, "you will participate in the court games, a tradition of Virlia designed to test intelligence, adaptability, and social awareness. You will face challenges that require more than logic alone. You will need intuition, you will need creativity, and perhaps a sense of humor. I think..." The first challenge appeared in the center of the hall, a massive table covered in floating holographic tiles, each inscribed with symbols that shifted constantly. Alex recognized some of the symbols from his xenobiology studies, but many were completely alien. "Your task," the Queen announced, "is to match the symbols in patterns that satisfy both logic and harmony. The patterns must also satisfy the observer's expectations, subtle cultural preferences. Success requires both reasoning and understanding." His human brain approached the problem differently from the aliens. While the Virlians relied on intuition and tradition, he relied on pattern recognition, probability, and trial and error. Slowly, he began arranging the tiles, moving them according to logic but adjusting based on the subtle nods and expressions of the observing nobles. Minutes passed. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but he persisted. His adaptability, a human strength, allowed him to see solutions that aliens might not anticipate. Finally, with a satisfying click, the tiles aligned perfectly, forming a pattern that was both logically sound and culturally harmonious. The room fell silent for a moment. Then the Queen's lips curved into a smile. "Remarkable. You blend logic with perception. Human ingenuity is impressive." Alex's task was to respond appropriately to all three without offending anyone, a skill humans rarely had the chance to practice formally, but one they often mastered through instinct and observation. He focused, listening carefully, watching subtle facial expressions, noting changes in posture and tone. When one noble made a sarcastic remark, Alex smiled politely, deflecting it with humor. When another offered a subtle challenge, he responded with curiosity rather than defensiveness. By the end, the nobles were nodding and smiling, clearly impressed. The Queen observed silently. "Humans are social navigators, though differently from us. You handle subtlety well, perhaps better than many Virlians your age. Your species' ability to improvise and adapt continues to impress. Remember, humans are unpredictable, and that is often a strength." Misstep and the participant would be gently lowered into a pool of soft, glowing liquid, not harmful but humiliating. Alex's human agility, honed through years of hiking and fieldwork, gave him an edge. He observed carefully, timed his steps, and moved deliberately. One platform tilted unexpectedly, and Alex adjusted instantly, catching himself with a flick of his arms. Lyra's silver eyes widened in surprise and admiration. The Queen nodded approvingly. Human reflexes are surprisingly effective, quick thinking under pressure, resourcefulness. You continue to prove your worth. He had solved puzzles, navigated social intricacies, and displayed human adaptability in ways even the Virelians hadn't anticipated. As the sun set over the crystalline spires of the palace, the queen approached him. "You have survived the court games. Not just survived, you have impressed us. Few humans would have managed so well." "Impressed and honored, I guess." He swallowed, trying to appear composed. Lyra stepped forward. "Tomorrow, we will begin lessons in practical skills. You will learn our communication technology, our methods of observation, and some of the strategies we use in governance, all important for your new responsibilities." He had survived puzzles, social challenges, and physical tests, but now he was going to learn how to navigate politics and strategy in a foreign court. Still, he reminded himself, humans were adaptable. Humans thrived in unexpected circumstances, and humans were clever. Somehow, he had survived a day in the Queen's court without accidentally insulting anyone or breaking priceless alien artifacts. That was a win. As he prepared to leave, he overheard a whispered conversation among two young nobles. "Did you see how he handled the floating tiles? Incredible. That is why you are valuable here. Humans are remarkable in ways we are only beginning to understand." By the time night fell, the palace had quieted, but the glow from the crystal spires kept the halls illuminated with soft, shifting colors. Alex sat with Lyra in a small chamber overlooking the valley. "You did well today," she said, her tone warm. "The queen is impressed and the nobles are curious about humans. That is rare." Curious about humans, that sounds like both a compliment and a warning. He had solved puzzles, navigated alien etiquette, and even impressed a queen. And yet, as he realized, this was only the beginning. The queen's curiosity was far from satisfied, and Lyra's pregnancy added another layer of responsibility he could not ignore. Humans thrived under pressure, but the challenges ahead would test not just his cleverness, but his patience, empathy, and courage. For the first time, Alex understood something vital. Humans could not only survive in alien worlds, they could shine. They could solve problems, adapt to unexpected circumstances, and demonstrate ingenuity in ways even advanced civilizations could not predict. And Alex, for better or worse, had become the human standard-bearer on Virelia. Alex woke to a soft violet dawn, the light spilling through the crystalline windows of his chamber. Today, the queen had said, would be a day unlike any other. She had referred to it vaguely as the final trial, but Alex had learned not to underestimate her words. On Virelia, vague phrases often meant complicated challenges and sometimes chaos. Lyra was already waiting for him outside, her shifting hair reflecting the morning light. "Are you ready?" she asked. Alex rubbed his eyes and tried to appear confident. "Ready-ish. Honestly, I think my brain might explode if today is anything like yesterday." Today is reality. You must remember, humans are clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. That is your advantage. It will not taste like coffee, but it is energizing. "Human," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "today you will demonstrate not only your intelligence, but your courage, adaptability, and humanity. The trial you face is unlike any other. It will test you in ways beyond puzzles or etiquette. You will need all that your species is capable of, and perhaps more." He had survived puzzles, social navigation, and the court games, but this sounded far more serious. Lyra squeezed his hand gently. "Do not worry, you are ready. Humans often succeed in ways we cannot predict." Beyond the crystalline barrier, a storm of colors swirled across the sky, energy storms unique to Virelia, a natural phenomenon the locals called the Veil of Lights. Normally, these storms were harmless, but the Queen's expression made it clear that this was no ordinary veil. "Today, the storm has intensified," she explained. "It threatens not only the palace but parts of the valley. Your task is to stabilize it using our technology and your human problem-solving skills. Failure is not fatal, but it will displease the court. Now you will act." He noticed subtle regularities, patterns in the way energy pulses moved across the valley. Using human logic, he began to predict the storm's next movements. He reached for a lever, unsure if it would work as he expected. The control panel responded instantly, redirecting energy toward stabilizing fields. The storm shifted slightly, but not completely. Alex frowned, realizing he needed a more comprehensive solution. Lyra observed him closely. "Think about your species' strengths. Humans improvise, adapt, and coordinate quickly under pressure. Apply that now. Slowly, the storm began to stabilize, its violent arcs softening into manageable flows of energy. The nobles outside the observation deck murmured in amazement. The queen's eyes gleamed with approval. Interesting. Your species does not follow our conventional methods, yet they are effective. Humans are clever indeed. The storm was far from fully under control. He needed to ensure the palace and valley were safe. He noticed another panel displaying data from nearby energy conduits. Adjusting these, he balanced the energy flow even further. Lyra's eyes widened. Alex, you are doing it. Not by following tradition, but by thinking differently. That is the essence of human strength: creativity, adaptability, and courage. Your trial is not yet complete. Observation and control were the first part. Now comes judgment. How will you advise the court on managing future storms? He realized that humans often solved complex problems by modeling scenarios, testing hypotheses, and adjusting strategies based on data. He began explaining, step by step, how he would predict storm patterns, implement safety measures, and coordinate the court and local populations in response to natural phenomena. Lyra translated subtle cues from the queen and other nobles, ensuring Alex's suggestions were culturally appropriate. The queen nodded slowly, clearly impressed. Humans do not rely solely on instinct or tradition. They combine observation, creativity, and adaptability. This will serve Violia well. He had demonstrated the value of humanity itself. He had not only solved problems, but also shown that humans could contribute meaningfully to an advanced alien society. The queen's voice softened. Lyra, you are fortunate. This human demonstrates qualities we have long admired but seldom encountered: curiosity, ingenuity, bravery, and a calm mind in chaos. These are traits worth nurturing. You have earned my attention, human. That is rare. The queen gestured for him to sit. You have succeeded in demonstrating the value of humans, she said. Not by following our rules blindly, but by thinking, observing, and adapting. That is remarkable. Your species' ability to improvise under pressure, to solve problems creatively, and to act decisively is unparalleled. This is why you survived the bonding ceremony and the court games. Your species thrives where others might fail. Humans often underestimated themselves, but here, in front of an alien queen, he realized that humanity's strengths were clear and undeniable. The queen leaned back, eyes thoughtful. Lyra's bond with you is unusual, but it has proven one thing: humans bring something unique to Violia. Not just survival, but ingenuity, courage, and problem-solving that can benefit us all. You have shown humans can be extraordinary, and the queen sees it too. Lyra's child will inherit a bond unlike any other, and you have proven humans can meet the challenges of this world. That is impressive. The valley glowed softly under the veil of lights, serene and safe. Alex stepped outside with Lyra, feeling a strange sense of accomplishment. They had faced chaos and emerged stronger. I guess humans really can thrive anywhere, Alex said quietly. Lyra smiled. You have proven it, and not just survive, you shine. That is why the queen and Violia will respect you. Curiosity brought you here, and ingenuity will ensure you endure. He took a deep breath, ready for whatever the queen or fate might throw at him next.